To skip unskippable cutscenes,
Come on, let me through.
walking sections,
Come on, Max, let's go!
repeating animations,
Arthur, get over here!
tedious sequences,
Slivers of a greater whole.
and introduce a DMC-like turbo mode. That is why I use cheat engine in single player, mostly AAA video games. You can tie a hotkey to a specific game speed and even make speed of the game revert back to normal once said key is released. Metro Exodus introduces few game modifiers that are accessible only after you beat the game. Unfortunately, the ability to skip conversations is not one of those modifiers.
Are you awake?
So speeding the game up every time you're locked in an unskippable conversation is a great way to circumvent that. It used to be the only way I used this tool.
And? More of nothing?
For replaying games while being able to skip through boring sections.
We took our time.
But last two games I played actually convinced me to use this tool even for my first playthrough, and I want to show exactly why, starting with Black Myth Wukong. There is this one large frozen lake that serves as a boss battle arena, but you can also explore it afterwards, and wouldn't you know it, there is something to be found here. But if you're like me, then the first thought you have is not yes, it's oh no, because there is another area just like this one, but covered in sand instead of snow. Look at this. If this was Super Mario Odyssey, there would definitely be a moon there. Surely there is something to be found here. There is nothing there. If I was using cheat engine on my first playthrough of Black Myth Wukong, I would have spent 1 minute on both of these areas, instead of however long of boring traversal it took me. Tedious animations like opening chests or absorbing wheel is something I also started speeding up on my second playthrough, as arguably they are unnecessarily long. I also started skipping long death animations, while some might consider that cheating, as I'm cutting out the time spent in frustration, thereby making defeat less impactful, and isn't overcoming defeat is why we play these kinds of video games. All I can say is from my personal experience, it doesn't affect the satisfaction you get from victory.
Oh my god, it's over!
This experience made me consider using cheat engine for my first playthrough of God of War Ragnarok. And I have not regretted that decision, as it's full of boring traversal.
Whoa, nice.
Well, okay, it's full of boring traversal only if you are like me, who tries to complete the game as close to 100% as possible and goes back to explore previously closed off areas as soon as he gets the tool to unlock them, instead of going to explore them only after beating the main campaign fully. If you are not like that, then I suppose it's not as bad. What is this?
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything with that yet.
Okay. I can understand why some would consider this way of engaging with a video game, especially on the first playthrough, a flawed way, as you are arguably ruining original artistic intent. I mean, imagine someone experiencing the corridor from Neighborhood in such a way. My best counter-argument to that is, generally speaking, consumer wants to experience the original intent, so they will have enough of, let's say, trigger discipline to use such power responsibly. If they want to stop to slow walk through some virtual landscape, they will. But if they have some sort of ADHD caused revulsion to boring video game sections, then I think speed hacking is a better solution than listening to some random podcast on the background. There was someone who cared about saving small amount of time on small things enough to include the fast hold option in the settings of God of War Ragnarok. So I know I'm not the only one who thinks about these kind of things. By the way, I never understood why games make you hold buttons instead of pressing them in menus. Anyway, the next thing I'm about to describe is a little unconventional. I mean, even more unconventional than what I already described. You see, playing God of War with cheat engine in the background made me have a curious thought. I always liked the idea of turbo mode in Devil May Cry. For those who don't know, this mode makes you and enemies 20% faster. While playing early levels of God of War, when combat seemed a bit boring to me, I thought, what if I just speed things up by like 15%, and I ended up trying this on and off for the rest of the game. Majority was completed normally, but just sometimes to experiment I put it between 10 to 15% speed up, and the results are pretty interesting. Obviously I wouldn't recommend it for anyone's first playthrough, but if you are looking to replaying these games, or if the combat just didn't click with you, or you want to experiment with other action games you've already beaten, give this idea a shot. At 10% sped up gameplay seemed like it wouldn't be that noticeable, but it is very much noticeable. I'm going to leave you with gameplay of one of my encounters with the game being sped up by 15%. I was also using wider camera FOV mode. Again, it's the game itself that is sped up, not the footage. Enjoy and thank you for watching. I hope maybe I managed to save your time or frustration with that advice.
Stop.